Welcome to A Call to Action, a series presented by Great Eastern Radio and Brattleboro Community Television. We're covering many different topics from the SBA loans to equipping our local hospital. Today we're talking with Sam Hooper, owner of Vermont Glove. Vermont Glove has shut down their entire glove-making operation to change its focus from gloves to masks to try to help to keep up with the demand, while keeping everybody employed through this crisis, as many as they can. Welcome to the program.
Thanks a lot, Peter.
All right, so let's get right into it. First of all, Vermont Glove has a very interesting history. So let's just break down what that history is.
Yeah, so we've been around for 100 years as a small manufacturer in Randolph, Vermont. We started out making silk riding gloves back in 1920, and then as Electrify America and FDR's program to bring electricity across rural America, there was a need for a new glove sector, and that was for utility power line workers. And then so we serviced the utility sector for many years and grew to sell in 40 or 50 states and had quite a bit of market share through the 1970s. And then in 80s and 90s, overseas manufacturing and the globalization of a supply chain started to push us out and cause us to lose market share. And then in the 2000s, you had a consolidation within the utility sector, which made purchasing power a lot more price conscious. So I took over ownership about 2 years ago now, and I took over from Kurt Hopp, who's third generation family, and his daughter Heidi Hopp is our operations manager and is my partner in crime as we try to bring another 100 years of small manufacturing to Randolph.
Great. I love it. I like the story. I like the entrepreneurial spirit behind it. All right, let's now I called the other day and talked to your brother Miles briefly, and he gave me kind of a quick rundown of what the infrastructure looks like. But let's talk to that. The infrastructure, how it's set up. I understand that you have many employees and they seem to be spread all around, that you're really taking the social distancing thing quite seriously. That's good to hear. I know that you've only got 2 people in the actual plant itself working. So walk us through a typical day of what that looks like.
Yeah, so our facility is an old whiting milk plant creamery, and so we're on 2 different floors. We have all of our cutting presses, and we use a clicker and die system to cut if we're, usually when we're making gloves. And then we have about 35 sewing machines in the building on the first floor. Now, when the pandemic started to, garner some traction, and here in Vermont, we were ready to scale things back in terms of inside the building. So we started to set our employees up with home sewing studios with the assumption that we were going to continue making gloves, and then split our building into 2 isolated zones, the basement and the main floor. So Mark comes in the basement and Heidi comes in the main floor, and that's to limit the amount of social interaction. So, and then, because I was really committed to not wanting to put our team on unemployment and, further overwhelm a system that's already strapped. And, I really wanted to make sure that our employees were getting the benefits that they deserve. So we said, well, we're going to just use our working capital and keep producing inventory, and so we're ready when the market comes back up. And then I started to think, man, I was starting to get calls and saw the need out there for face masks, and I thought, well, I wonder if there's something that we could do to help. And then I also was starting to prototype some masks in order to be prepared for the National Defense Production Act to be enacted, and that would require us to turn around and start manufacturing something for the government. What that is specifically would have been up to them. But So I said, well, we might as well get in front of this, and we bought some dies and produced some prototypes so we could be efficient with our cutting process. And then I said, well, if we're going to do this and we need to put it out, get it to a price point that is palpable. And so I said, we're going to need some more sewers. So we put out some noise to the community just to ask for, see if anybody with a domestic home sewing machine had any interest in making masks. And the reason, so our team is highly skilled in the sense that sewing a leather glove on an industrial machine is probably one of the hardest pieces of goods you can make in the garment industry. So, I mean, you're talking about really intricate patterns with really short stitch runs, and the value of our product and how we build it reflects the price point, which is we sell gloves for $100 a pair. Now, with the masks, we can produce these quite a bit faster because it's a very pretty simple sewing pattern, and the idea is we really wanted to have an impact. So we wanted to get to a scale that could really make a difference in a need. While it's unclear right now whether we're going to be able to keep up with the demand, we are cranking out about 1,000 a day. So we just in the last week we've accrued about 40 some odd home sewers who are committed to being a part of this process. It's invigorating for them. A lot of them are like calling us and saying, I'm going stir crazy sitting at home. I need something to do. We'd love to sew some masks up. So we produced a web page and put our pattern up there. So if there's other home sewers around the state who want to use our pattern, it's right there for anybody. And like I said, we're not, like I said before, Peter, we're not in it to make a profit here. We are charging, and just because we need to be made whole in that sense, and because we have a lot of overhead as a manufacturer, and we pay livable wages to our team. Now with the home sewers, the idea is to pay them by the piece, and what that exact piece is and how those terms work is a little bit unclear right now, because we're really starting to a week into scaled production, and that's so we haven't really got a good grasp on our cost of goods sold yet, but we're trying to stay in a lower price point so it's accessible to larger entities and hospitals out there who are obviously strapped for cash. And yeah.
No, again, it's admirable that you're able to keep all the people that were employed prior to COVID-19 kind of taking over our global economy, to now. It sounds like you're even instead of doing a downturn in employment, it sounds like you're giving an upturn. So I mean, it's just on that level alone, to be commended. Hats off to you about that you've actually tacked on sewers. And I did have a chance to look at the pattern online. So it's good that you were able to mobilize so quickly around this, because again, I mean, as of the point of this interview, we're about 2.5 weeks into this, so the landscape's forever changing. All right, so we talked about you roughly producing about 1,000 more per a day now. Are there plans to try to increase that should demand?
Yeah, well, so that one of the constraints to increasing from that is you were asking me about infrastructure and the flow of the program. I'm very committed to being as responsible as possible with regard to social distancing. So the scaling constraint would probably not, like, we've had enough, and every day more sewers are reaching out to wanting to sew at home. The larger constraint would be cutting more in a day. And if I can only have one person running that big press, then that limits us. But with that said, who knows how long this is going to go, and what this new marketplace is for us. I mean, we've just been like a sponge in a hurricane in trying to learn about this industry and um, and learn about how to get this product to market and the distribution model and how the funding and payment will work. So, um, and who knows if antibody testing starts to move rapidly, then maybe there's an opportunity for folks to get back to work. But right now, I think it's super important that everybody stays committed to the protocol of staying home. So we do all the cutting in-house, and then we put together kits of 50 or 100 units at a time. And then we have a couple coordinators, my brother included, who run those kits around to designated drop points, and we have kind of different zones so we can keep our the amount of fossil fuels that we're burning driving over the road down as much as we can. So and then those are all curbside, and when the sewer is done with the production, they call us, and it goes back to that same location, and then we bring them in, we finish them, and then they go through wash cycles and into packaging and shipped out. So
Okay. Well, there's been a lot of talk about the N95 rated masks and how those are the ones that are, and let's talk about the rating of the mask that you're producing and what that means and where that fits into a pandemic.
Yeah. So, yeah, we get that question a lot. Are these N95 masks? I need to be abundantly clear that these are not N95 masks. N95 masks have a submicron level of 0.3. And it's been my experience and the experience of a lot of the NGOs in New York City and nonprofits around the country who we're corresponding with about distribution models. And we're asking, what is your sense of material supply chain? How can we get our hands on medical grade material? Because, we'd be happy to produce N95 grade masks if we had the material. And the fact of the matter is it's been everybody's understanding that that material sold out globally in December, and we won't see that supply chain coming back for quite a while. So, and one of the issues that happened is it's a very specific process for manufacturing that material. It gets melted down and then reblown, so it can capture a really, really small particle in the air. And those manufacturing plants are now overwhelmed because so many factories, and I think to the largest scale in China, have transitioned from producing garments or producing automobile stuff to now being set up to make masks, and there's just a global supply chain shortage there. So we've deferred to CDC guidelines, and they've asked us, if you have the capacity, please use tightly woven cotton fiber. And I have a supplier, and we had some on hand, so we were able to get right to work and continue to order. So we on our mask, the inner lining is a tightly woven jersey cotton. So, and then on the outer shell part, it's more of a heavier weight cotton fiber, and it's designed to give structure and body to the product. So it's reusable and washable, and so that's that they say it's to have a cotton mask is a lot better than nothing. So that's where the directive has been, and the application of use is different in from customer to customer. So some hospitals are wearing these masks over their N95 masks because they know that their N95 supply is dwindling, so they need to be able to protect the ones that they have for reuse possibly as best as they can. So, and then there's giving cotton masks to patients who come in who are not in a critical case, are not a COVID-19 positive case. And then there's giving them to healthcare workers in other parts of the hospital wings, as well as, frontline service people, state police, sheriff's departments. They've been ordering from us because they don't have the access to get N95 masks, because the product, the precedent is that they need to go to hospitals. So, and those guys are doing domestic visits, or those folks are doing domestic visits, and they're, very unknown because of HEPA rules that they can't know if there's a COVID case present in that house or not. So they're trying to take the extra precaution of at least wearing something, or, moving inmates. There's so much interaction out there where just having and I wouldn't be surprised if we see society start, everybody just be wearing masks, like in general out in public for, the next few months. Hard telling, not knowing where this whole thing will go and how long we will be manufacturing masks. But right now we're just one step in front of the other.
Yeah. All right, Sam, let's drill into it. Somebody needs masks. How do they get them from Vermont Glove?
Yeah, so we built out an website, e-commerce page on our website, so vermontglove.com, and you go to the shop page and you can buy in different quantities. The two lot sizes are five masks for, I believe it's $30, and then you can do 26, and those are $5 a unit. So the idea is that average household size is 5 people, and the reason for 26 is that's our metric for the cutting process. So it just keeps lot numbers and sewing kits, all similar.
Okay.
And but now larger, really big orders have typically come by phone or email with me. And if I urge someone, if they're going to order 1,000 or 3,000 units at a time, reach out to us at the factory in order to make sure we get an accurate lead time, because right now it is very unknown. It's a lot of management, and so we're like working around the clock trying to figure out, okay, who's getting filled when and keeping the pipeline full. So yeah, it should be interesting, but we're now starting to get into a cycle where we think we can push out 1,000 a day.
All right. Well, that's great. So, Sam, one of my drums that I beat is shopping locally and keeping it local. So I love that you're doing this. I love that you're pumping this out there. I love that you're employing more people with skyrocketing unemployment rates, and doing your part to keep Vermont strong, and to keep your company strong, and to keep your people employed. So my hat's off to you. That's why I wanted to sit down and talk with you as close to face as we could get here. So thank you again. If you're looking for information on how to reach Sam and his team at Vermont Glove, you can go to their website, vermontglove.com. Sam, thanks for jumping on the show. Did we leave anything out?
No, thank you very much, Peter. I usually don't have a mustache for those people who will see me.
All right.
Have a great Sunday. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.